Good morning. So last night was the full moon, and we got to talking about how we ourselves are like a full moon, and that inherently we are whole as the yoga tradition. But we do have within us. So I wanted to quote this song, by Pink Floyd, "Dark Side of the Moon." And if the cloud bursts, thunder in your ear, you shout and no one seems to hear. And if the band you're in starts playing different tunes, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. Roger Waters interprets these lyrics, and he says that the dark side of the moon is something that we never see but is always there, just on the opposite side. The dark side of the moon can be considered the dark side of ourselves, what we consider as bad feelings or impulsive, the way that we try to hide those around. He says that we all have that side, but we need to keep it in check, or it will take control of us, driving us to the max. Well, I recently took a training by Paula Corey called Trauma and Resilience for Yoga Facilitators Mental Health. In it defines something that overwhelms our capacity to cope and respond. So that can be anything chronic, social conditioning, family stuff going on, developmental, bullying through childhood, or it could be the obvious shocking event, crises, rape, murder, things like that. And trauma causes the nervous system to react in 4 possible ways. In the moment: fight, flight, freeze, or collapse. And when we're not fully allowing the energetic impulse of the trauma to move through us and be metabolized, like we don't complete that reaction of fight or flight, whatever it is, it continues to live in our bodies and can build up as tension, but it can also be triggered by events in the present day that even just so slightly remind us of the trauma from the past, in which we can respond to the present moment situation as if it were the past in disproportionate intensity. So resilience in the training was described as the ability to be transformed by difficulty, or knowing that we'd be okay if something were to happen to us. And our ability to self-regulate in any moment that we feel our past trauma coming up by some sort of trigger in the present. This ability to self-regulate or keep it in check, as the song indicates, is dependent on our inner resources that we've practiced and strengthened and made accessible to ourselves. Such a grounding resource such as that. And here are some resources. External orienting, that's reminding yourself that no, this is not my childhood trauma that's happening right now, by looking around you in the room. This act of mindfulness, being present, using your senses. Here's the ground. It sounds very simple, but when you're in the state of fight or flight, it can be very grounding. So external orienting, looking around you and feeling and seeing what's here right now. Grounding, finding solidity in your body, physically stabilizing towards the earth. Centering, like using conscious breathing techniques. We practice several types in yoga. Pranayama is what it's called. And becoming present with what's alive in you right now, using your felt sense, knowing that, I feel a surging heaviness in the chest, or I start to feel tingling or heat in my arms, whatever it might be. And in this way, we're being conscious and self-regulating. And when we're ready, courageous mindfulness is another tool, and practicing empathy to see what is on our own dark sides of the moon and to bring them to light, empowering our own resilience. And it is definitely a challenging process that doesn't happen overnight. using our challenges to grow and to strengthen our ability to address what happens next, to connect more deeply with the world rather than contract and separate from the world. As yoga teaches us, there really is no separation. We are connected to these beautiful sunflowers, this ground, that rock, dog sleeping under the camera, connected to the sun and the moon and to each other. So as we sit now, feeling our physical bodies connect to the surface beneath, you might even look around your room or where you are, perhaps you're in your backyard or outer space, and see what's here, what's in your environment right now. Feel physically what is supporting you as you anchor. Feel the areas in your body that are stable. And allow your breath to deepen. Perhaps you even close your eyes and become more present with your slower breaths. Observing what's alive in you right now. Perhaps even setting your left hand on the center of your chest, your right hand on your lower belly. Feeling the comfort of your own touch. We'll dive into one way of calming the nervous system, 3-part breathing or Durga Pranayama. Whether you exhale to your mouth or your nose, that's up to you, whatever's more comfortable. But do inhale through your nose and let this breath go, holding the breath out. Now into your belly, inhale just 1/3 your capacity. Pause your breath, picture the side walls of your rib cage and inhale into there another 1/3. Pause your breath and now into the top of your chest, breathe in. Fill it up and hold. Sit tall, relaxing your body. And then slowly exhale completely. Hold your breath out on empty. Feel rootedness. And again, into the belly, inhale 1/3. Into your side ribs, inhale 1/3. Into your chest, inhale last 1/3. Hold your breath in. Slowly let it all go. Hold your breath out. Into the belly, inhale. Side ribs, inhale. Chest, inhale. Hold your breath. And let it go. Hold it out. Try 1 or 2 more rounds on your own. Through this practice of conscious breathing, conscious movements, conscious stillness, may we develop our capacity to do whatever lies in our shadows, and address them with empathy for our own awakening. Take a deep breath in for a chant of Om. Invite your next inhalation to slowly fill up your belly, side ribs and chest without holding the breath in. Exhale just through your nose while softly constricting the back of your throat. Balancing your breath slowly in and out with your mouth closed as you create a gentle whisper now, entering another calming breath technique called Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing. As you respond to your body through every moment of this practice, listening to how it responds to movements and postures, remember that you are the self-regulator. While I offer different variations of poses, it's really up to you to discern what is appropriate for you in the current time and space, knowing when to rest if necessary too. So as you gently open your eyes, let's travel down to hands and knees, all fours. Setting up your hands to your wrists, just under your shoulders, and your knees are slightly behind your hips, like 2 inches back. Breathe in as you glide forward and coil your chest up into cow pose, lifting your heart and gaze towards the sky. Breathe out and contract your belly as you round your back, dropping your skull into cat pose. Take a few more slow cat cows or Vidalasana at your own steady pace of breath. And if within this movement your body needs something different, feel free to explore more organically. Allow a few breaths to find your way into a still downward facing dog, so that perhaps when you first arrive, you had a little shifting, pedaling your feet in place, swiveling your hips side to side, softly moving your skull. Ground to your fingers spread as though your hands were trying to push the mat down and forward, so that you can find the highest lift of your hips, knees as bent as you might need. As you drop your skull, steady your gaze halfway towards your feet on the ground. Broaden across your shoulders by wrapping your triceps or outer upper arms towards the earth. As you lift your shoulders and hips high, firm your belly in. Press your chest gently back towards your thighs. As you parallel your feet hips width or wider, feel your inner thighs pressing towards your rear wall. Your heels rounding towards the earth, even if they don't touch the floor. Now let's hold still, finding length, spaciousness, and balance. On your next exhalation, walk to the top of your mat to stand in a forward fold with your feet still apart and parallel. Bend your knees. And then drop your skull and arms. Let your belly rest onto your thighs, your knees very bent. Put your weight forward, slightly heavier towards the balls of your feet. And as you press down to your feet, inhale, begin to roll your spine upright, very slowly stacking one vertebra at a time. And as you begin to lift your skull, lift your shoulder heads high before exhaling to rotate them behind you. And then down, palms facing forward, sides and mountains, Tadasana. You're gonna slow flow through healing salutations as we're still drawing the yin, nurturing, cooling energy from last night. So as you breathe in, reach your arms overhead, interlacing your fingers, Accept your index. As you breathe out, side bend to your left, rooting your right foot more deeply into the earth. Firm your belly against your back and inhale, rise to center. Then exhale, side bend to your right, rooting your left foot deeper into the ground. Again, firm your belly in, rise to center. Join your palms in prayer and exhale with very bent knees, bow forward. Let your belly rest onto your thighs. As you inhale, raise your arms just forward, parallel to each other alongside your ears, and keep bending your knees. Draw your sitting bones behind you, like a very restful chair pose. And as you exhale, plant your hands in the ground and step your left knee all the way back to a knee. Untucking your left toes. Separate your outer feet wide apart as your outer hips. Firm the four corners of your right foot into the earth and feel stability through both of your legs as you slowly circle your arms like the full moon, letting your palms meet overhead. Pause here for a few breaths in Anjaneyasana, rooting down, top of your left foot, sole of your right foot, and rising up from your pelvic floor through your spine and crown, letting your shoulders relax. Take another deep breath in, sinking your tailbone forward. And as you exhale, plant your hands flat onto the floor, entering hands and knees in modified plank. This time have your knees directly under your hips, wrists directly under your shoulders, and think of elongating your sternum, the middle of your chest towards your front wall, your tailbone towards your back wall. With an exhalation, slide your feet to touch, separate your knees wider and sink into child's pose. Let your pelvis drop all the way down to your feet as you extend your arms forward and rest your head down. Feel the reach of your fingertips forward and the sinking of your hips back, causing length through your torso, the sides, the center. Take a full cycle of breath in Balasana. Separating your feet hips distance again, standing on your shins. Inhale, rise to stand on your knees and circle your arms again like the full moon. Let your palms touch overhead as you stand tall. Pause here and breathe. Steady your gaze, perhaps up towards your thumbs, as you soften your shoulders down and lift and broaden your chest. Feel your tailbone anchor towards the ground between your knees. Take a deep inhale, then exhale, return to a modified plank pose on hands and knees. Inhale in modified plank, lengthening from sternum to navel. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips high into downward facing dog. Breathing in, letting your body be still, breathing out, observing what's here. Now at the end of your next exhalation, step your left foot forward inside of your left hand, lowering your right knee, untuck your right toes. Kneeling lunge. With your legs hips distance, firm down to the four corners of your left foot. Feel stability through your legs as you circle your arms wide overhead, palms meet to touch. Pause and breathe in Anjaneyasana. Allow your tailbone to sink down and forward as your frontal hip bones rise towards your heart, and your heart rises towards the sky. Feel the circulation of energy up your front body, causing lift, and down your back body, causing grounding. Take another deep inhale. And as you exhale, land your fingertips at the top of your mat, tucking your right toes. Step your right foot forward, hips distance from the left, and fold with bent knees, belly resting on thighs. Circle your arms and inhales. Rise tall, let your palms touch, interlacing fingers, accept your index. Side two, exhale, side bend to your right, rooting your left foot into the earth. Firm your belly in, inhale, rise to center. Exhale, side bend to your left, rooting your right foot. Belly in, inhale, rise. Palms in prayer, bend your knees as you exhale to bow. Belly to thighs. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, a passive chair pose. Land your hands on your mat. Exhale, step your right knee behind you, kneeling lunge. Untuck your right toes and firm the sole of your left foot into the earth. With groundedness, circle your arms to rise. Palms touch. As your tailbone sinks forward, gently scissor your left hip back. Feel the lift through the sides of your waist as your shoulder blades melt down your back. Another deep breath in. Then land your hands and knees to the floor in modified plank pose. Here, lengthen from crown to tailbone, broadening your chest as you slide your shoulders back. On your next exhale, feet together, knees apart, child's pose, sink your pelvis down to your heels, forehead towards the ground. With arms actively reaching forward, find length through all parts of your torso. As you reparallel your shins apart, hips distance, circle your arms and rise to stand on your knees. Palms meeting overhead. Breathe. Can you feel the same stability as your mountain pose? On your next exhale, lower forward onto hands and knees, modified plank. Breathing in, lengthen chest forward, tailbone back, center alive and contained. Tucking your toes, exhale, lift your hips back, downward facing dog. Feel the rooting down through your finger pads, the rising of your shoulders and hips back, and the descent of energy down the backs of your legs to your heels. On your next exhale, empty it, then lightly step right foot forward inside of right hand. Left knee down, untuck the toes, root down through both feet, and circle your arms wide, palms meet overhead in Anjaneyasana. As you draw your tailbone closer to the earth before you, gently scissor your right hip back. Shoulder heads down as your heart and crown lift. Imagine your spine as a channel of energy or a passageway from the full moon that still has residue overhead, down to your heart center, down to your root center, base of your spine. With an exhalation, lower your fingertips at the top of your mat, tuck your left toes and step forward to fold. Bend your knees, rest your thighs. Firm down through your feet. Inhale, circle your arms to rise all the way up. Palms meet. Exhale, trace your thumbs, your heart center, your root center, mountain pose. So from here, I invite you to grab your two blocks, turn to face the wide width of your mat, and as you open your arms wide at the center, jump your feet almost as wide apart as your wrists, just slightly shorter stance. Place your blocks just behind your calves, and first we'll start in a wide-legged squat. So from your hips, turn out your thighs and pivot your feet to turn out just enough where the center of your kneecap points in the same direction as your middle toe on both sides. Doesn't matter how much turnout, more that alignment is important. And then as you splay your bent knees apart, gently rock side to side to adjust the spacing between your feet so you're not over bending your knees beyond your ankles. Let your sitting bones roll downward, tailbone lengthen down, frontal hip bones slightly lift, belly alive and engaged. And then let's press the inner thighs gently apart as we sink the tailbone and lift the heart. Breathe in here. Now at your waist, begin to turn your chest to the left and twist, looking over your left shoulder as you're nearing. Breathe here. Use your hands to your feet. Feel that stability, that grounding as you lengthen your spine and your pelvis and rotate your hips at your waist. Lower back and all of the spine can hold a lot of tension when energy centers are blocked. 7 main energy centers or chakras lie throughout the spine. Your next inhale, come back to center. If you need a break, straighten your legs and then rebend. Keep inner thighs rotating back, knees aligned with middle toes, and then come back to your squat. Lift your heart, sink your pelvis. At your waist, exhale, twist to your right. Pressing your inner thighs open as you look over your right shoulder, breathing here. One more deep breath. Coming back to center, straighten your legs, parallel your feet. And now let's rotate from the hips to pivot both feet so that your left foot becomes your front leg as you align your left heel to the arch of your right foot for triangle pose. Now spread your toes right down to the big toe mound of your front foot and the outside edge of your back foot, which is slightly turned in. And then firm the front muscles of your thighs. It's like you're trying to lift your kneecaps without locking your knees. And with legs straight, glide your pelvis sideways towards your rear leg while reaching your left arm horizontally forward. Go as far as you can reach to your left fingertips before beginning to tilt them downward, either to land on your left leg or just to the left of your leg, perhaps on a block. Now adjust the height that you're placing your left hand so that you can continue to lengthen this left side of your torso and continue to roll this left outer hip under your body so that the middle of your left knee, your middle left toe are still pointing straight ahead and not turning inward. As you reach your right arm towards the sky, broaden your chest, broaden your upper back. Feel stability through your legs, your belly as you rotate your chest slightly upwards. If it feels okay on your neck, steady your gaze up past your right thumb. And if it doesn't feel okay on your neck, look forward or down. Choose one focal point as we center back on our breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. Observing when a physical posture starts to feel challenging. It's important to become aware of how we handle that challenge in our minds and our body's reactions and our breath's reactions. Because right there is training the triggering impulse. One more breath here. Feel the stability of your legs. Going to enter half moon pose or Ardha Chandrasana. And if you like some assistance in it, bring your right hand to your right hip. Steady your gaze now on the ground just in front of your left foot as you bend your left knee. Take your block with you if you used it at all in triangle, and crawl your left fingertips about 6 inches forward of your left pinky toe, and then out to the left upper corner. Drag your right foot forward and push into the ground with your left foot as you flex your right foot to lift off the floor. Then imagine as if your right heel was pressing back toward the wall on the opposite side of your mat as your chest continued to rotate open again in the same direction it was facing in triangle. And if you feel steady here, breath is steady as well, you might raise your right arm up. And you feel the resemblance of triangle pose. Steady gaze, about 3 more breaths in Ardha Chandrasana. Now as you're coming down, it can help to bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend your left knee, keep flexing your right foot, engage your belly, and slowly as you can, step your right foot back, landing warrior 2. So the left knee is bent, the arms are wide open as your spine is upright. Allow a few breaths to ground in this position. From warrior 2, straighten both of your legs, parallel your feet in this wide stance. starting at neutral. Then from your hips, rotate your thigh bones and pivot both so that your right foot becomes your front leg as you align its heel to the arch of your left. With legs straight, toes spread, root down through the big toe mound of your right foot, contrasted with the outside edge of your left foot, slightly turning it in. Belly engage, front thighs engage. Slide your pelvis sideways toward your rear leg, reaching your right arm horizontally forward as far as you can reach before tilting that hand down, only to the height that allows your right outer hip to continue to spin slightly under your body, to align center of right knee with center right toe down the center line of your mat, and lengthen the right side of your torso as you begin to your chest. Left arm high. And you rebound your weight off the floor through both feet. Energize your legs, energize your torso, so that you don't feel like you're collapsing downward with your right hand, but instead you're lightly pushing off with your right hand to find a lift and expansion within this feeling of belly. Steady your gaze on one spot. Allow for a few more breaths to observe what's happening here, what's alive in your body right now. Preparing for half moon pose, you might choose to bring your left hand to your left hip. Steady your gaze on the floor ahead of your right foot. Take your time. Steady breath with your right knee. All your right fingertips, mound or your block, 6 inches ahead of your right pinky toe and out to the right corner. Drag your left foot forward, flexing it as you root off your right foot to lift the left leg about parallel to the floor. Turning your chest to face the same direction as you did in triangle. Lengthen the top of your head towards your front. Left heel back towards the rear wall. Perhaps explore opening your left arm. Noticing impulses as we're entering or exiting functions, and offer insight and help build awareness. Take your time as you're ready. You might like to bring your left hand to your left hip as you start to exit this posture. Bending your right knee, flexing your left leg, stepping your left hip towards the rear edge of your mat, and warrior two. From here, take a deep breath. Cartwheel both hands to the ground. Enter your chosen version of plank pose. Let's pause for about 3 breaths in plank. Stacking your shoulders right over your wrists, gazing on the ground ahead of your wrists, knees down or legs straight, with heels actively pressed back. Now feel your center contained, whether you lower chin first to slide the belly forward and modify, or follow me through Chaturanga Dandasana by gliding forward, exhaling to bend the elbows close to your side ribs, 90 degrees, and then either lowering all the way down for Cobra or flipping your toes into upward facing dog. Either way, knees are not touching the ground. Tops of the feet are firming into the earth. Then lift your hips high, downward facing dog. Let's pause and breathe. Now, to keep the leveling of your 2 hips, lift from your inner thigh, root down to finger spread, and inhale, raise your right leg behind you, flexing the foot. Pause as we breathe, feeling the strength of your upper body. Find sky as your right hip bone turns to face the ground. With an exhalation, slowly round your back forward to plank, bending your right knee towards your nose. Lightly set your right foot just inside of your right hand, entering crescent moon pose. Staying on the ball of your left foot with your feet as wide apart as your hips, imagine as though you're scissoring your feet towards each other to find an isometric stability to rise and raise your arms. Now, by bending your left knee or even placing it on the ground for more support, align the bowl shape of your pelvis upright and evenly facing forward. The hip bones, that is. With shoulders relaxed, feel the full length of your spine. Steady eyes, balanced breathing. Sharpening your inner resources here. Join your palms in prayer as we enter a twist. Lengthen your spine diagonally forward. And as you breathe out, twist to your right, perhaps hooking left upper arm outside right thigh, or modifying, you could place the left knee down if it's not already there. Or instead, a lesser twist, less intense twist. Left hand on the floor or block inside of your right leg. Right arm to the sky. Feel the height of your two hips. Tendency sometimes here it is to lift the right hip and drop the left hip. Can you think of the opposite? Scissor your right hip back and down. As you press your left heel back, let your left thigh lift away from the ground, stabilizing your lower spine. Few breaths. Gaze at the right foot and frame it with your two hands. Perhaps you have blocks under your hands. Step your left foot about 1 foot forward, straightening your legs for pyramid pose. Spin your left heel flat on the ground. Keep your hips facing forward. Engage the front. Inhale, lengthen your sternum towards your front wall. Blossoming your chest open. Keep it that way as you're hinging on an exhale from your hips. Breath by breath. Now, if the back of your right thigh feels pretty open and you want to deepen this stretch, you can lift the ball of your right foot, flexing it as you plug your right thigh bone deeper into your hip socket, while elongating both left and right sides of your torso and neck. With your right foot flat on the floor, slightly bend your right knee and begin to lean entirely onto your right foot, flexing your left foot. Either crawl your two hands a foot ahead of your right toes, entering modified warrior three, or keep your arms off the floor, whether they're reaching back, hands in prayer at the heart, wide open like an airplane, or the rigor of reaching them forward, perhaps the palms meet to touch. Spiraling your inner left thigh towards the sky as you flex your left foot, find length. Tailbone reaching towards your inner left heel, sternum reaching towards your front wall. Navel lifting in support of your spine. Let's take 3 more breaths in Virabhadrasana 3. Warrior. Bending your right knee, slowly step your left foot entirely onto the ground, entering warrior one. Hips are still squared forward, back leg is straight, front knee is bent just over the ankle. From warrior one, interlace your fingers behind your lower back, or grab a strap to hold between your hands. Bend your elbows a little closer together as you broaden and lift your chest, taking a deep breath. Stay here or begin to bow forward, entering devotional or humble warrior. You could either rest your belly onto your front thigh or lean your head onto the inside of your right ankle while keeping your hips squared and rooting down to your left heel. Stretch your arms forward, lifting your shoulders away from your neck. Take another deep breath in whichever variation you're in. And at your exhale, step into plank and lower through your own vinyasa, cat-cow, child's pose, or directly to downward facing dog. Once in downward dog, allow a few breaths to regain awareness of what may have shifted up to now. Then keeping your two hips balanced, root down to fingers spread as if you're pushing the mat away. Lift from your inner thigh and inhale, slowly raise your left leg back, flexing the heel towards your rear wall. Balancing here for a few breaths. Draw your right outer hip back. Find even length in your left and right side bodies. With your next exhalation, round forward by contracting your belly. Bend your left knee towards your nose and gently land your left foot just inside of your left hand. Stay on the ball of your right foot with your feet hips distance apart. Isometrically scissor your legs to ground yourself as you rise into crescent moon pose. Now feel the orientation of the bowl shape that is your pelvis here. Allow your tailbone to anchor down, pelvis upright, frontal hip bones facing forward. And from there, feel the earth beneath your feet. Feel your heart and spine rise towards the open sky above. Then join your hands at your heart to prepare for a spinal twist. Remember, you could lower your right knee to the floor if you want more support to balance with. Make sure your left knee is directly on top of your left heel. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward, steady your legs, and at your waist, exhale, twist to your left. Trying for the same variation as you did on the first side, whether you hook your right arm outside your left thigh, or you lower your right hand inside of your left leg. Notice if your pelvis begins to follow the twist. Think of drawing your left outer hip downward and towards your rear wall. And as you press your right heel back, feel the lift of your right thigh away from the ground. Breathe in, breathe out. Turn your gaze down to your left foot. Lower your fingertips to frame it, perhaps using blocks under your hands. Step your right foot forward 1/3 of the way. Spin your right foot down, and with legs straight, entering pyramid pose. Inhale, lift your sternum, lengthen it towards your front wall. Firm your outer hips to hug your midline as you hinge for your hips. Easing your way through your range of this forward fold. Now, if you're needing more sensation in your left hamstring, lift your left toes and flex your left foot, plugging your left thigh bone back deeper into your hip socket while extending your sternum forward as you bow. Then seal the sole of your left foot firmly into the ground. Bend your left knee a little bit. Either crawl your fingertips 1 foot ahead of your left toes as we enter Warrior 3, or do it hands-free, leaning forward until your torso and right leg are horizontal. Spin your inner right thigh towards the sky and drop your right hip bone to face the ground. Send your left outer hip back and equal the sides of your waist. Flex your right foot and feel stability from crown to right heel. And then perhaps explore other arm variations. Let's take 3 more breaths in Warrior 3. When you're ready, bend your left knee. Softly step your right foot entirely on the ground behind you, entering Warrior 1. Bending your left knee just over the heel as you straighten your right leg, pressing your right outer heel down. Keep your hips facing forward. Back straight your arms behind you and switch the interlacing of your fingers or grab a strap. Bend your elbows closer together and breathe in to coil your chest up. Either stay here or begin to bow. Resting onto your front thigh or inside of your left ankle as you keep your hips squared and feel the support of your right heel grounding. Humble or devotional warrior. I love this reminder we received in that training on trauma and resilience. To remember that we have blind spots. To have the humility, as this pose reminds me, to be curious about what our blind spots might be. You can take it in the context of emotional triggers and trauma hidden in the body and how we respond to daily life. Sometimes not knowing that the trauma is still affecting our responses and perceptions. This is part of the yogic practice of self-study. With your next exhale, take your last vinyasa or meet us in child's pose. When you arrive in child's pose, we're going to stretch the shoulders and the lats a bit by placing the elbows on the floor or on top of the block. You might start at the lowest height of the blocks, maybe go to the second level if you're feeling really open in the shoulders. But make sure that your elbows are planted distance apart. You might lay your step a little wider, give your belly room to descend, and then wrap your tricep or outer upper arms towards the floor to broaden across your shoulders. Press your fingertips into each other. And then lower your head towards the ground as you trace your thumbs down the back of your skull towards the back of your neck. Adjusting the spacing of your elbows and your knees so that you could rest in this position for about 5 more breaths. Feel your shoulder blades releasing down your back. Pelvis releasing down towards your heels. And your navel slightly bowing inward to offer length, space, and support for your lower back. Take a slow in-breath into your belly, side ribs, and chest. Hold it in for a few seconds. Then through every sound that's releasing for you as you exhale. Slowly raise up. Block the side if you're using them. Just here. And lower arm. For one round of bridge pose. If you prefer restorative bridge, you can use one of your blocks as a platform for your sacrum, just like this. Otherwise, hug one of your blocks by the skinniest width between your thighs. Have your feet where you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not that close to your glutes. Then as you ground your parallel feet, ground your shoulders, lift your pelvis to enter active bridge for 5 to 10 deep breaths. And as you're in active bridge, slide your upper arms closer together under your rib cage. Keeping your arms straight, if your hands can easily meet, consider interlacing your fingers, but not if that causes your elbows to flare apart, which then begins to round the shoulders. Tilt your chin back slightly away from your chest to invite your breath to your throat and into the fullness of your lungs. Feel your thigh bones lengthen forward as your pelvis rises, and the stability of your heels grounding energetically, dragging back towards your glutes without visible movement. As you're ready to come out of Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, with an exhalation, carefully lower your spine, then your pelvis to the ground. Then let's remove any block that you're using, whether underneath or in between your thighs. Slide your left leg forward, flat on the ground, and hug your right thigh close to your chest. Just give your right foot some movement for a moment, like circling it to stretch your ankle in both directions, or pointing and flexing your right foot. Then place your left hand on the very top of your left thigh, keeping the back of your left hip rooted onto the ground, just as much as your right hip. Splay open your right thigh to the outside of your rib cage. Now imagine that just your right leg is in happy baby as you take hold from the inside of your right leg with your right hand, your right ankle or outer foot to lift the sole of your right foot to face the sky. Now here's where you might use a strap. If that feels inaccessible, you could use the strap around the sole of your right foot and hold the strap instead with your right hand. Let's breathe here, relaxing your two shoulders down, honoring the natural space and curve of your neck. Bending your right knee towards the ground outside your right ribs. Let's take 2 last breaths here into your belly. Slowly inhale into your abdomen. Feel it gently rise. And then slowly exhale to your mouth. Perhaps make a sound. So part of the training that I'm in talks about the value of organic sound linked to movement and how it's one of the ways that we can let the energetic impulses of trauma or any kind of stress move through our bodies and not just be contained in our bodies, giving them an outlet through the vibration of sound. One more, deep inhale into the belly and just sound it out. Let's set the right foot to the ground. Slide your right leg straight ahead and bend your left knee into your chest. As you hug your left thigh, take a moment to move your left foot in any way, stretching your ankle, shin, and calf. Then press your right hand on the top of your right thigh, grounding your right and left hips. Splay out your left thigh and bring your left arm inside of the leg. And if you know that a strap is going to be more useful, hold it in your left hand as you step the ball of your left foot into the strap. Otherwise, you're catching your outer ankle or foot as you lift the sole of your left foot to face the sky. Bending your left knee downward towards the earth, just outside of your left ribs. Feel that, just like your two hips, your two shoulders are equally weighted down. These anchors of support to allow opening, to allow trust for the body to open. Feeling any areas of your body, inviting your attention. Feel your breath enter those spaces like a nurturing, kind, open curiosity. Into your belly, deep breath. Any sound, let it go through your mouth. Once more, into your belly, deep breath. Then draw your two bent knees into your chest, hugging them in. Take a few last deep exhalations before we enter Shavasana. And with your deepest exhalation, let it all go. Ha! Splay your arms and legs onto the ground. Palms face up, legs relaxed. Close your eyes. Release control of your breath. Be still. Rest here in Shavasana. Another, as you consider joining us for our last 5 minutes of optional sitting meditation, as we fine-tune our ability to listen in and to be still, even in moments of challenge, to really be with ourselves when we need ourselves sometimes the most. Meditation deepens that practice. Our act of kindly listening to what's inside. So if you're going to join us, please begin to move your body gently. Ease into any stretch. Feels good for you. Once you're ready, your body up into a sitting position where you can be supported if needed, perhaps a block under the pelvis, anything that you can feel stable physically, alert mentally, and relaxed emotionally. I'm setting the timer now for 5 minutes. your breath in, fill up space in your body. Out, breath out, that means bring palms to heart centers. We bow in to close this practice. But continue the practice, cultivating more. We step into the rest. Close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.